Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
She wanted to keep herself away from her son. Something big happened. I don't want her to be Venom. I want her to be on the Isle of Kingdoms.
Because what is the other option? That maybe she was a goddess and then Xaden is a demigod.
Xaden is stood in the doorway, his shadows rising up by the side of him, and it says something like, he's like the messenger of the gods. I have found concrete proof that Dain is not going to make it out of this series alive. I'm going to read the whole thing because I'm going to build up the last sentence of what I'm going to say is like what's going to happen.
I don't know if it's really possible, but I'm thinking for a long time that maybe it's going to be Warwick, the one who is this Venom waiting for centuries, and the General Daramur is going to be another Fen Riorson. Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Iron Flame at the moment.
Yes, I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we're diving into chapters 21 to 24 of Iron Flame.
Yeah.
So as you remember in the previous chapter, in chapter 20, Violet was in Samara with Xaden. They had a nice talk, a pillow talk basically. Nothing happens at the moment, but at least they're like sharing stories and a little bit of knowledge. And now we're going to chapter 21, when it's the Violet goes to a history class with all the gang, and in the room, Sawyer is the one who's wondering who's actually here teaching, because pretty much all the leadership run into a fly field because there'll be an attack.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've got so much to say on this, but can we do the epigraph first?
All yours.
The migration of the first year is one of the crowning achievements of Navarre's unification. What a celebration of the human spirit to leave a life of war and enter one of peace, blending people, languages and culture from every region of the continent and forming a cohesive, united society whose only goal is mutual security. Navarre, an unedited history by Colonel Lewis Markham. Well, first off, I do not trust a single word this man says. I was trying to remember, and I think there's an epigraph somewhere that said loads of people died.
Yeah.
So he's obviously saying, oh, it's all brilliant. What a celebration of the human spirit and forming a united society. But there was an epigraph, I think it was even last episode, which said there was a lot of sacrifice.
They were talking about all the pay they had to give to get their wards working, and about how conscious they are about that not everyone going to be.
And it said those who didn't survive the continent-wide migration. And so obviously we know that it says an unedited history. We can't trust this guy anyway. We know that.
Yeah. But
it's clearly been edited, and he's pitching this as a celebration and a real good thing. Violet opens the chapter with, I've decided rolling dismounts might be the death of me yet. I don't know how many times, I'm going to do a search, how many times we say, this might be the death of me yet, or somebody says, this is going to be the death of me. I've switched off to it now because I've just decided I'm not going to let this stress me out. I've decided that Rebecca Yarros just likes this turn of phrase. She just likes to say, you'll be the death of me, this will be the death of me, and I'm just going to ignore it from now on, because if we took note of everyone that said this will be the death of me, people would die several times over. So I'm just going to take it as I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I just decided Rebecca likes that phrase, and it doesn't mean that everyone's going to die.
Yeah, I think that might be the problem with Rebecca Yarros, that sometimes you don't know when it's foreshadowing or when it's just she is like given that kind of style and the narrative. But it's the same when every single time Xaden says to Violet, you're going to be the death of me, you are like,
yeah. And you can kind of see that, because maybe the soul is, maybe if you lose your soul, you die. And he's already forfeited his for her. Spoiler.
Yes.
So we don't think the rolling dismounts are actually going to kill our girl Violet, do we?
Hopefully not.
That would be a bit disappointing.
Probably a broken bone or something like this, but
yeah, they're not going to be the death of her.
No. Sorry, class. There's no leadership there to teach because there's an emergency. It's something or somebody is attacking, and all the leadership is running to the fly fields. So Violet's thinking that only a major attack will make to all the leadership go.
And what is it?
Yeah, I don't remember later on any reference about this specific.
We don't
thing.
learn about it, but it's got to be a Venom, surely. It's got to be a suspected Venom or a rider attacking a rider, because how would the Flyers have got in? And who would have put them up to it? We know that it's Colonel Atos because he's trying to off all the people that were at Resin.
Yes.
So we don't think he has links to Flyers, do we? We only think he's got links to Venom. But why do we not learn any more about this? Or do we? And we just haven't read it yet. Can't remember learning anything about this.
I don't know. I think the only detail that we had about this specific attack is it's an attack in the Eastern Wing. Amazing Sanborn died, and now there's only 6 out of the 10. They went to Reason, they're still alive. So even Viola said that this can't be the reason just to kill one of those 10. Has to be something major.
Yeah.
There's not just, like you said, just not Colonel Atos.
It has to be major, like a Venom, and they are turning, like they're worried that the news is going to get out.
Yeah.
But they're using it as a cover-up. I don't know. It's so weird. It feels like one of those things that was left open and not tied up.
It has to be a Venom, because even if it's a wyverns normally they don't cross ward. Maybe they will circle in. They will die if they cross. But a Venom, do we know what happened if a Venom, like a proper full Venom, cross the wards?
No, but we know that they can channel
it
because of Jack.
I think it's when you transform when you're inside the wards.
Yeah. But we already suspect that something's happening with Dain's dad, and there's various assassins, or there's something sneaky going on where there's more Venom within the ranks, and we know that from the Onyx Storm blurb. So I think it's something to do with that. It's a Venom from within who's potentially attacking. But I don't know. Maybe our listeners can correct us. Did we miss something? Because it feels like there's no way that... Like, Basquiat is just so well protected. It takes the Venom the rest of the book to kind of build up the courage. So something must have happened. And unless they're just saying only a major attack, and it's not actually an attack, it's just... it could have put the infantry up to it. It could be like some kind of civil dispute between the infantry and the riders.
Yes.
And then it's called the leadership in, because they're like, hang on guys, what's going on? But I don't feel like we get any information. I wonder who Professor Lavini is. So with us as history class, do we think Lavini is a scribe?
I would think there should be a scribe, because history is not something that you need like physical skills to teach. You need knowledge, and you need somebody that knows everything that's going on in the books. So it has to be a scribe.
Yeah,
I would
it's
say.
just interesting. His name is just dropped, and then we don't know anything about this person. We don't know if
why
it's...
is not there?
And I said his name, it could be a woman.
Yeah.
Oh no, he was called away.
Yeah.
Man, that's why.
No, but he was called away, so it's a rider, isn't it? All the leadership is going to the fly field. Doesn't mean that this is a rider, or it's a scribe that has to recover.
Go and cover stuff up. Because he's a historian. Yeah, that's probably it, isn't it? Like, we need the historian to record. Right. Anything else to say about the fight, or can we talk about?
No, that is the only thing that I would say that is still in the air, if there's no specific reason. But then it's Professor De Vera, the one who takes the class, and then she is the one who's talking about the sacrifice or the unification. I think there's the reference from the epigraph. But in the epigraph, is everything like it's shiny, everything is happy, everything is nice. But then she's like talking about like
lost
what does it cost?
Yes. Yeah, and is it worth it?
Yes.
And this is potentially De Vera starting to question whether she's learning stuff, and she's like obviously torn. I think there is so much in this part of the chapter. The Signy incursion from the year 328, the end result of the 4-day temper tantrum was Signy's son being absorbed into the kingdom of Poromil, where they've been for the last 300 years. History and current events are tied because one influences the other. I don't think we've got enough information here to work out why this has an impact. But I have a sneaky suspicion that this whole class around the Poromish regions not being united like Navarre, so they kept their culture, they kept their language. Someone from Signyson would describe themselves as Signy and not Poromish. And the fact that there was a temper tantrum, and it was a 4-day temper tantrum, and Signyson became part of Poromil. Signyson, to me, that kind of suggests that maybe have not always been loyal. Maybe the Poromish states might be a bit divided. And I don't know enough about it, but there's something there, isn't there? In that she's saying specifically they don't have a single language. They care more about their own culture than they do about the kingdom of Poromil. Is there going to be another switching of sides or something?
So many things about this part of the history class made me think it's still maybe some foreshadowing of what we're going to find out in Onyx Storm, because that is one thing. The other thing is when they send the people who wasn't able to move to the safety of the walls, they stay in their own place. So, which means there's a very chance that when you fly against the drift, you could encounter a distant relative. So it's okay, that means we're going to find family or the main characters. Xaden.
Xaden.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I can't decide where his mum's from. The suspicious mention of the Poromish tapestry hanging in his house.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning to the fact that if she was Poromish, why wouldn't she be in contact with him? I feel like I'm leaning more towards the fact that she's on the Isle Kingdoms. I don't want her to be Venin.
For me, it's strange because it's just basically, it was a contract that she had to give a Fen Riorson a son. She needed to make sure the son can survive on the stem when maybe it's easy to Fen to look after without the mother. So he can teach him whatever he wants her, because in the end, what Fen wants is a descendant. So want to shape his own image or his own culture and all this stuff. As a father, you want for your own child. So I don't know if maybe the mother never was interested on Xaden or Fen.
No, so I know you get that. I know you do get that, and that's perfectly valid.
Yes.
But I feel like something big happened to stop her from caring for Xaden, and I think she was either threatened or something happened that meant that she felt she was too dangerous. So perhaps she was Venin. She wanted to keep herself away from her son. Something big happened. I don't want her to be Venin. I want her to be on the Isle Kingdoms.
Because what is the other option? That maybe she was a goddess, and then Xaden is a demigod.
Yeah, we like this one. You don't like this one, but I like this one.
I find this one strange if I was that. I mean, I can understand where it's come from, because Xaden is one of the most powerful riders with the signet, with the bond he did with Sagel, so he's exceptional. Is a demigod? I don't know, because in the end, he's kind of like a prince anyway, so he had a lot of stuff of his advantage. Just for that. There
are a few clues though, and I don't have them all written down, but the one off the top of my head is when he's standing in the door when Andana stops time for the first time, and the unbonded cadets are attacking her in a room in Fourth Wing, and Xaden is stood in the doorway, his shadows rising up by the side of him, and it says something like, he's like the messenger of the gods. There's several things like that, but I can't remember them all now. I'll bring receipts next time. But they do make reference to the fact that he is godlike or linked to God throughout. So I like this one.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I thought might be foreshadowing for Onyx Storm in this part was that somebody said that we sacrificed travel someone from Claw section. We're safe here, but we're not welcomed beyond our borders. We know that Violet will be going beyond the borders in the next book. And I am sure she's going to the Isle Kingdoms.
Well, every single book, she's going further and further. So we can expect that in Onyx Storm, we're going to see further the continent.
Yeah, so the Isle Kingdoms, the Barons, potentially Signyson, seeing as we're talking about it here. Maybe they'll go to Zolia.
Yeah.
And this is it used to be the Flyers Academy.
Yeah.
Or War College. But now it's been taken over by the Venin. So perhaps there's something, maybe we'll get to go there.
Yes. Anything else that you want to say about this class?
Yeah. So there's another reference to the fact that the only unique thing that they kept were the runes because they're in too much of the architecture to justify changing it. This feels weird to me because, one, runes were banned. We know that because we find that out later. I can't remember the name of the teacher in the Revolution who teaches runes, but she says they're the great equalizer and they were outlawed because they don't want people to learn to have magic who don't have a dragon. We know that they're in Ryerson house because there's strange patterns around the windows, and I think there's something protective there about that. It just feels a bit odd that we know runes were outlawed, but they're still talking about them as if they're unique and people can still do them. So I don't know if this person with the rebellion relic, it doesn't give a name, which makes it feel like she's not close to Xaden. She wasn't at Ressen, otherwise they would have given her name.
Yeah.
But she knows about runes and she's quite openly talking about them, so felt a bit weird to me.
Yeah, I guess it depends on your culture, because the runes were more like from a specific province, and they're more like...
No, Tyrrendor.
Yeah, Tyrrendor.
But she's got a rebellion relic, so she's likely from Tyrrendor.
Yeah.
And then Violet says the ones on my daggers, the ones on the columns of the temple in Erasia, the ones I'm currently weaving on my lap. So she does know she's weaving runes. I thought she just thought she was doing naught. Rhiannon says, is it Sawyer who's from
Luceras,
which is really far in the west. We know that he has different folklore, and it's interesting that she's from a border village. So her folklore is all about Venin, because that's the side of the Barons. Whereas Sawyer is unlikely to know anything about it because he's so far over west, and he says all the news relies on the scribes that get it there, and they're just never going to let that type of thing get that far.
Yeah. I believe they are basically in the opposite direction of the Barons, like in the other side.
Yeah, they're on the west, the Barons on the east. I thought that was quite interesting, another nod to the folklore.
It's just to see like how much control the scribes have about everything, all the information they give to the citizens.
So that class, I think there's loads of stuff. I totally agree with you. If that you could encounter a different relative, like a distant relative, isn't a clue, then I will. This is another one. I'm going to eat the microphone.
Yes, we pass to the next class, because next one is on the mat. And then we had another attempt of Dain trying to talk to Violet. Violet, again, is just trying to avoid him to all cost. So then does something that's, again, like trying to, I don't know if it's just trying to mimic Xaden, like, okay, he did, then I can do it as well because I'm wing leader. That's my imitation of them. But he is the one who challenged Violet to go in the mat with him, and then everyone is just start to freaking out.
Yeah.
Imogen, the first one.
Yeah, she runs straight for Bodhi, doesn't she? So
yes.
I need to give people a caveat about how I read this book. It does not matter if in Onyx Storm, and we know Rebecca Yarros really likes Dain, it does not matter to me if he redeems himself. He was only doing it because he trusted his dad. I get it. But at this moment in time, he hasn't redeemed himself yet, so I don't like him. Later on in the book, I might start warming to him again, but every time I start the book and reread, I'm in that moment, so I'm still like, Dain.
I still in that position there. I understand why he did what he did. In the end, Rebecca Yarros says, right, he's just 22, 23 at this stage. So he's young. He doesn't know what he's doing.
He trusts his daddy.
And that was his mistake. And he didn't know because really you trust your parents.
Yeah, but where's his mom? Where is Dain's mom?
Yeah, that might be one of the reasons that he needs to read memories because he doesn't know
His
anything.
dad won't tell him anything about where his mom is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
So
you've
maybe
just
that's-
broken my heart.
Now you like her.
No, I don't. I feel sorry for him.
Yeah, but we always talk about like sickness and everything, but we don't go like deeper like why this character
they need
needs
it?
there. What's the reason? So I think that maybe Dain's mom is not there.
Dain's dad is pretty
It's even
secretive.
alive because the coroner is like somebody that you don't mess around with.
No,
him.
he's really sus. He probably killed her, didn't he? Probably
Yeah,
bumped
or
her.
make it kill.
I know. I know that I've got absolutely no evidence for that apart from Dain Aetor's dad is sus. It would not get past a jury, but
Yes.
I do not trust that man. And the fact that Rebecca said he's the one that deserves the worst death.
Yes.
That he's bad. There's no redemption arc for Daddy Aetos. Just before they get to the fight, I am obsessed with what Oryx's signet is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen a couple of theories around the fact that he is intrinsic, because he freaks out a little bit later in the book when Mummy Sorengale asks him if he's manifested yet.
Yeah.
This one, I don't know whether it's self-affirmation, but I was sure that he was going to be our distance wielder.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe I'm looking for clues to validate that, when really the only clue I've got is that he needs to distance himself from his father. There's no other... Well, there's a bit of evidence, potentially, when we get into the library heist scene. The archives. But here it says, Oryx... I glance Oryx's way, but as usual, he's completely, totally focused, tuning out everything around him as he stares at the mat. Feels like a weird thing, and I was trying to grab something that made us question what Oryx's core is and what kind of a person he is.
Yeah.
And he was trying to block everyone out, or was he trying to distance himself from people, or was he... Anyway, I'm at this stage, I am serially overthinking everybody's signet, but I'm I do want Oryx to be our distance wielder.
The main reason that he goes to Basgiath is because he knows already the Darven and the Wyverns. And I don't think that he goes there just to find out they're absolutely true. I think he goes there is because he wants to make a change. He wants to make the difference. Exactly. He knows that the best way to fight against magic is using magic as well. Using the magic of the dragon, being a rider. He's put a lot of distance between his dad, because he's putting distance between the royal family, himself as well, because he's changing the names, because he wants to be like a brand new person, even change the name and everything. Distance wielder, it sounds like really plausible for me, for Oryx to have. But we need to see more details, or maybe later on in other chapter when he has the dragon, he starts doing more stuff. Maybe we can see something
Just keep an eye on him.
Yeah, exactly. So back to the battle, parallel against Dain. So Imogen calls them all similar version to Xaden body. Even Violet says that. So another reference. The body is really similar to Xaden. And
Xaden's gonna fucking kill him.
Yeah.
He whispers.
Right now, Dain is just trying to break the ice with Violet. Okay, I know there's something really bad happened because people die in this attack, but I want to know all the truth of what's happening. And Violet is just completely scared about Dain touching her.
She is, but then she's like, you know what, I've got this. Xaden trained me. She says that to Bodhi. She's like, I'm not talking about the fighting. I'm talking about the shields. She knows she's got it.
Obviously, Dain was just trying to okay, I'm here. I'm trying to talk to you. Talk to me. Just call the attention somehow. And then when he starts to see that she actually hates him, that she actually is more in Xaden's side than anything else, And I don't know if he did because of jealousy or what was happening in his mind when he tells to Violet by the end of the fight was Mommy Sorangel, the one who grabbed the
what a baby.
skirt.
He knows he's lost, so he's just like throwing something that's going to hurt her. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I have found concrete proof that Dain is not going to make it out of this series alive.
Oh, what do you got?
I'm going to read the whole thing because I'm going to build up the last sentence of what I'm going to say is like what's going to happen.
Okay.
This is the next hill that I'm going to die on.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a fortifying breath, I secure every brick in my shields, just like Xaden taught me, and step out onto the mat, palming one of my daggers in my free hand. If it comes between killing Dain and saving Xaden, there's no choice.
You think that
Is Violet going to kill Dain or let him die to save Xaden? If it comes between killing Dain and saving Xaden, there's no choice. Onyx Storm, I will not die today. I will save him.
Yeah.
Dain's not making it out alive, guys. He's not. This furiously pointing at my Kindle. If it comes between killing Dain and saving Xaden, there's no choice.
Yeah. Something major has to happen after that because on Arisha they will be like bonding together again when they were like translating all this thing to bring the words. Dain was kind of like going back to being the nice boy that she knew for such a long time. She
needs him. She doesn't. She's still no choice.
I think it's more about Violet trying to kill Colonel Atos, but I don't know why. I think it's going to be Dain, the one who's going to kill his own dad. Just to prove
he might
himself.
do, but I think there's something wrong with Kath, isn't there?
Unless there may be Dain, he found out about, because he can remember it, and maybe he found out that Xaden, he's a venom, and then he said, no, this is just too dangerous, I need to do something, I need to kill him. To save Violet, to save everything. And then Violet, when he goes to the time, there has to be between Dain and Xaden.
Maybe.
There's no choice.
All I know is that if it comes between killing Dain and saving Xaden, there's no choice. It jumped out at the page. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, he is fast. It says he's always been good on the mat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, basically they're saying that he is not a wing leader just because his father is colonel.
He totally is.
He deserved it, is what they're saying. They know he's fast. That he has merit to have a wing leader or squad leader like he was before. So he kind of like deserved it. But obviously having a daddy in such a role helps a lot.
Although it was decided after Colonel Atos binned it.
Mm-hmm.
So if Lilith Sorangale doesn't like his dad, she still... I don't know if she chooses. I would imagine she has a say. Anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, they kind of fight on the mat. But she does have the upper hand, doesn't she?
Yeah.
It feels like Violet would have won. She has the dagger at his throat, doesn't she?
Yes, but I don't think Dain was trying hard to beat her. I think he just was trying to make her talk. Okay, what happened? Why you don't talk to me? I've been trying. Why you hate me so much?
I still think she'd win, because don't we know that Violet is Dain's weakness, or one of them? Does Fairish know that? Isn't there something later where... Anyway, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Do you think he knows that scars on Xaden's back is a Tyrish custom? Or do you think he thinks it's a pure punishment when actually it was Xaden who said, I will take responsibility for all of them?
I generally think that it was that he think that once Mommy Sorangel was like say, okay, you take on responsibility, so you have to prove it, and then it was her idea.
I don't think it was. I think it's his idea.
Because he has one on the heart is to prove that he is responsible of Violet. So I think from Dain's point of view, Mommy Sorangel was the one who did it, and that's like one of the reasons why Xaden will never forget her for that. but like you said, that's a terrorist custom.
Did she agree to do that because she wanted him to start a revolution? Because if he's taking responsibility for all the marked ones, that's him. Like, he's going to be like, if it's anybody, it's going to have to be me, because if any of those do it, I'm dead anyway. Do you think she did it to, like, give him the boost he needed?
No, I think it's more about they were looking for opportunity to stay alive. And maybe when he offered that he's going to be responsible for every single one of them, and I can prove it, just do the marks on my back, that seems like a punishment for the people from Navarre. So it's like, okay, so
I think she wanted him. I think she knew he was going to start.
I'm still thinking there's a lot of things that we don't know about Lily Sorangel. So we might find out later on that she was all the time, obviously, knowing what was going on, but let it happening.
You got to remember, though, as well, like what Melgren can see. And Melgren maybe saw a battle that Violet and Xaden were part of. It's only if it's multiple relics he can't. He must have seen Violet. He must have seen Violet in a forthcoming battle. I think that's all I had to say.
Okay. So you're just going to close the chapter?
Well, just before. She nearly lets it, like, Rhiannon's getting really suspicious, isn't she? And just before Auric comes back and he's, like, broke his wrist or something.
Yes, he did.
She said, what killed Day? And she's asking directly. She said, don't ever ask me the question again. Please don't make me lie to you. And that's just another nod to the fact that she doesn't like to lie.
Yeah. She was asking directly, was another dragon who kills Dain. So she started to do, like, giving shape or whatever it was. And it wasn't a griffin.
Yeah.
It was something bigger.
Yeah, she knows. Like, Rhiannon is getting close to figuring it out.
Point, yes.
Yeah. And just a little bit of a, like, this is the confirmation we get that Auric knows about the venom. So we get that as the walkthrough. We also get, like, we don't get to know Auric very well yet. And this bit is the first bit that makes me really like him. He's quite fun. So he's, like, saying between, because she's got her arm in a sling from a rolling dismount. He's broken his wrist. And he's like, between us, we've got a full set of functioning arms. He's just funny. It's quite good that he knows and that, like, he's come to fight. She says, you know, don't you? He lifts his brow, the mage light's catching on those royally green eyes. Why else would I be here? He's just a confirmation, and I'm like, yes, Auric, he knows.
Yes, he knows, and he wants to join.
He knows. He knows. He knows.
Okay, chapter 22.
Epigraph. At some point, probably during your second year, you'll realise the trust you feel for your friends and family has nothing on the loyalty you develop for your squad. Page 91, the Book of Brennan. So much to say here. Was Naylan in his squad? We think so, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's like one of the easiest explanation why they have this massive relationship, that for the point of Naylan to try to and bring him back from life and sacrifice himself for Brennan. So I think they had to be like a really close relationship, like a really close friendship. And then from there, start to turn into something bigger as well.
Yeah, and there's another, like, it's the trust. The trust you feel for your friends and family.
Yeah, it's pretty much foreshadowing what's coming next in this chapter. It was good epigraph, I think. And then it starts really good because it starts with Violet's nightmare.
The way that I picked this apart.
Yeah.
Tern's going to die and he doesn't even see it coming for him.
Yes, that's something that jumped out on me as well. That she's trying to going to Tern, and Tern is just giving the back, and the death is coming, and he doesn't realize. And it's like, oh dear, more foreshadowing.
So many people think Tern's going to die. I keep flip-flopping around. I don't know what to think. I can't even commit at this point.
We know that Rebecca Yarros likes to kill characters that for her they're perfect and people love. So
yeah, but she started the series with Tern, and so the first characters that appeared in her head were Tern and Sigale.
That doesn't mean they're going to be the last one, because in the end, what's the story about? Violet and Xaden.
Stop it. Don't do this to me. I don't want them to die. And I'm just not going to get into a conversation about this. Ten can't die.
Yeah, but nobody's saying like, oh my god, Terran's a girl, they just love forever, or they're going to go through.
I know, there's definitely something. There's got to be a chain reaction, hasn't there? But Violet still survives because she's still got one dragon. But not talking about it. I don't want to get into this conversation.
Yeah. It was interesting as well because we see that this Venom is chasing her. Well, he captured her. And they said, there's no escaping me, Rider. Fight me and die, or join me and live beyond the ages.
Yeah.
So this just leave the doors open to maybe the Venom was obviously they want Val's power, but at this moment I didn't know they might have a possibility. They want to maybe put in the Venom inside.
There's a prophecy, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody with this type of power is going to defeat something. It's going to end the war. Don't necessarily know whose side that person is going to be fighting for.
Yeah.
So are they looking for her because she should be on their side? Mm-hmm. Because we don't actually know what they're fighting for. It's painting a picture that they're just draining the land and they're searching for more magic. But
Mm-hmm.
what are they fighting for? Yeah, we don't know. Can we talk a little bit about what he says?
Yeah.
So, well, a little bit first about what he looks like. He sounds terrifying and a bit gross, revealing the white of his scalp under his slicked back, thinning hair. I don't know why that's important, but it might be. Shadows mark the gaunt hollows of his cheekbones on an eerily youthful face. Right, so creepily young. Weird. Shadows, so there might be a bit of a like foreshadowing there that's linking shadows to Venom. Xaden becomes Venom by the end. I don't know. She just was describing his face. He says, all that power at your fingertips, and yet you insist on fleeing over and over using the same failed tactics and expecting what? To escape. Fight me and die, and you've already said this bit, or join me and live beyond the ages. But you will never escape me, not when I've waited centuries for someone of your power.
And this is how we know the Nullen is not going to be the Venom.
He's not going to be that one, is he?
No. Or that is Orange Girl. Some people say they could be.
No, not him. She would, and also Rebecca says she'd recognise him.
No, it has to be one of the first six or General Daramore.
I think it's General Daramore, and I think he was one of the first six. Well, the seventh.
First seven. Has to be seven because it was 7 dragon dens, so it has to be like.
There were 7 dens, but it doesn't necessarily mean there was 7 riders because she can't bear a rider, and Andarna can't bear a rider, and it's because
that's Andarna. But
it says the muscles are never there. Could the 7th den? What about the other 7th den? Do they not have? Do they think it's a birth defect because they don't know anyone else? But actually, the 7th den can't bear riders.
Mm-hmm.
There's a perfect possibility.
Yeah.
That everyone thinks it's not. I think I just need to reread it. Is it just the one side that didn't develop? Because I have a sneaky suspicion it might be just the one side that didn't develop or didn't grow. But if it's both, then there's no reason the 7th den never could have
a rider.
born a rider. I made a flow chart. The sage, he says, I've waited since. So there's also this crazy theory that is Xaden's granddad. Something happened with him, and I do like the idea that something big happened with him.
But it's not this one.
But it can't be this one. It might be a different one, because he says he's waited centuries. Xaden's granddad was just 50 years ago, right? Or something. It's not Naelin.
Has to be centuries. And the people there around the Fort Wayne, they not be more than 50 years or 100 years.
So I think that it's General Daramore or the ancient king, or they're the same person. Well, General isn't a king, so I don't know. That's a bit crazy. Then he said, join me and live beyond the ages. Again, that makes me feel like it's not Naelin because he hasn't lived beyond the ages. Xaden's granddad, I mean...
No.
Ages. It's not like lived beyond the years, is it? It's ages. So I feel like it's General Daramore. We also know the first 6 is not the first 6 riders. We know that they're just the first to survive because they did the wards. So yeah, it just makes me think that he is part of the 7th
But yeah, he's really clear. I've been waiting centuries for someone with your power. What is the plan? Because somebody with Violet's power is obviously nobody. It's somebody that comes every 100 years or every, 500 years. I think it's somebody that it comes, I don't know, could be like every 1,000 years maybe.
Yeah.
And that's why this venom is waiting centuries.
I think they just come when they're needed. It's like a prophecy.
Yeah, maybe it's something like for balance, because venom are taking too much power.
Right, talking about balance. And I can't talk about the fact that Dain might die, but I can, for some reason, talk about the fact that Andana might die. I don't know why. I like them both, but...
More likely for you than Andana died at turn.
Yeah, because of the fact that it was a great and terrible price. And you think, Andana could be all the power from the sky. I'm pointing down because I'm thinking of a pivot. Because nature likes everything in balance. So if you imagine a set of scales and you've got Andana has been born. The venom are getting so much power. So that weight is pushing down on one side of the set of scales. That is what causes Andana to hatch. Because she is, and Violet's born and everything. And they know that it's needed to balance out the equilibrium. So Andana is pushing back down on the other side because she's all the power from the sky. And that's what nature likes in balance. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this right. Probably need to draw a picture. To get rid of that weight of the venom that are pushing down on the other side, you then probably need to lose the weight on the other side, which is Andana pushing down. So the only way that you could get magic back in equilibrium, because the more power the venom take, the more power there's going to be from the sky, and they're just like fighting each other. So take away the power from the sky. And the venom don't have any power either. I don't know. There's something in it, but I think
we have to wait for Onyx Storm, because from my point of view, we haven't seen yet all the power of the venom. And I think
or all the power of Andana.
I'm expecting the Onyx Storm will go deeper in this venom world, and they will see maybe how many sage we have, or generals, how much power they can have.
Yeah. You need to make one of those reels of me like acting out the pivot with all the like equations behind.
Yeah, like a wonderful mind.
Or a confused mind. Back in the room with Xaden. Xaden's home. Daddy's home. Found a text. The first six didn't just establish the wars, but personally carved the first war stone. And he says, we knew that. And she says, partially. The text said the first ward stone. So there's a ward stone in Eurasia. Do you think there's any ward stones anywhere else?
I don't see no reason. Because in the end, the idea maybe was protect everyone from the venom. Maybe just put in the venom and just the barons, like living there. So I'm guessing there was like this kind of like massive production for this.
Lyra wanted to protect everyone. What if it was Warwick that wiped out the 7th den because he didn't want an extra dragon? Was Warwick the bad guy? Is Warwick General Daramore? Warwick...
I think, but I don't know if it's really possible, but I'm thinking for a long time that maybe it's going to be Warwick, the one who is this venom waiting for centuries, and the General Daramore is going to be another Fen Riorson.
Going to be the good guy.
Yeah, that maybe he was trying to protect the 7th den, or he was linked to the 7th den, but then worry because... Maybe it's something about the 7th den that we don't know. Like they had this special power, because we know with Andana she was able to pause the time for a little bit. What else they can do? Yeah,
Feathertails always have a gift, don't they? But we don't know if they could pause time or... I love this. I think, Warwick has already shown, I mean, later in the book, he shows his true colours, doesn't he? That he's not the one. No. He's not actually a good guy. He's like the Markham of those of Ryder. He's trying to cover up the knowledge. I love this. I think there's no reason why it couldn't be Warwick. And the great and terrible price, or that she says it cost me everything.
Yeah.
And it said the complex interpersonal relationships. So Lyra could have been in love with Warwick and he was the bad guy, and then she found out, and then she lost it. And the history class at the beginning of the chapter, or last chapter, was all about how history and current events are tied. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that maybe General Daramar was the Fen Riorson and the rebellion wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's started repeating itself.
Yeah, I like that theory.
That's like one of the things that I don't know if it's possible because we saw that already with Fen Riorson, but that could be as well like because this happening. So it's like, oh yeah, it's started repeating itself if you don't do something to prevent it.
Fool me once, Rebecca. It's on you. Fool me twice. It's on me. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would totally be fooled twice. And then we'd be like, oh yeah, the big bad guy is not actually the big bad guy. The big bad guy is Dain Atos. Is dead. Dain Atos is dead. Sorry, Dain. I'm tarring you with the same brush. But for now, you haven't redeemed yourself. Shall we bring Daddy Sorengel's research back into the ring?
Anything else that we haven't said already about this?
I need a first-hand account from one of the 6. My father talked about seeing one once, so I know they exist. Question is if they've been translated and redacted into uselessness. My father talked about seeing one once. We know he was researching the first 6, don't we?
Yes, and again, we don't know exactly what would be Daddy Sorengel's rank, and if maybe the book that he saw was something that not everyone should be seeing.
Did he also break into the king's secret vault?
Maybe he got access directly for that.
Maybe Lilith let him in.
Well, definitely Markhan has access to this. So if I don't know, I had the feeling that Daddy Sorengel was like really close to Markhan, maybe one level below him. So he will have access to this as well.
I just don't know. I like the idea that he wasn't in on it, but he knew about it because of Lilith, and I like that idea. I just like go on what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah, and then next way you change your mind.
Yeah.
Opposite.
So they're walking past and they bump into Varish.
Xaden is just overprotecting, I guess.
This is the moment where we know Varish reads Xaden like a book.
He knows what his weakness is.
We know his shields are down because
he's using the signet to protect.
He says his intentions are pretty fucking clear, trust me. So we know his shields are down because he's reading Varish's intentions. He'll use this opportunity to kill you for the embarrassment Ten put him and Solus through. And if you listened to last episode, which you did because you were listening to me,
I tried to do my best, yeah.
We think that there's something serious going on between Ten and Solus, and it's related to Naelin and Brennan and Lilith Sorengel knows. His intention is to use this opportunity to kill Violet for the embarrassment Ten put him through. You can't possibly know that. His intentions are pretty fucking clear. So we know that that's actually what he's thinking. And he wants to kill Violet for the embarrassment that Ten put him and Solus through. That is the reason.
Yes, and it's the best way to kill Ten as well. Because obviously he will looking for revenge. Because whatever the Ten did to him, it was Ten. He would like to do something against him directly. But the best way to do it is through Violet. Because if a Violet dies, more likely the Ten will die. Because that's how his bonds works. But then it's just Varish taking Violet to another interesting class. Just going to say that.
Can I just talk about this weird thing that I just spotted on my Kindle? He says, so Varish says, no, you're on. She says she's on leave, and they got mixed up because they forgot that actually it's only the dragons that get to see each other. No, you're on leave, Varish says. Delight sparkling in his eyes. Cadet Sorengel is headed out for training. He jabs his finger at the wall of shadow and winces. Like he jabs his finger, touches the shadow, and obviously Xaden hurts him.
Yeah.
With the shadow. Well, that's fascinating. No wonder you're so coveted. The pair of you really are quite something.
Yes.
That's weird, isn't it? That pain, you can get pain from the shadow.
So, chapter 23?
No.
So you have something to say?
I'm sorry. And this is, I was like, right, this has to be quick. Dain's doing something suspicious for Varish. And potentially so is Imogen. I chose him for his inability to relent. Sigale reminds me, because we get a nice little chat with Sigale and Violet here. Not helpful at the moment. Do I need to remind you what he's carrying? He's obviously carrying some daggers. Fine, but only so this conversation ends. And then Varys said her wing leader is otherwise engaged. Varys says to Xaden, and feel free to continue to argue with me. But what is Dain doing? Dain is like...
Do you think that maybe it's related to the first attack that we had in the history class? That maybe they capture something or somebody and they need Dain to get information out?
No, not from Zara. Not from Varys. I think Imogen might be wiping memories. I think he might be forcing Imogen to wipe memories. Because he knows of her power, because we find out later it's like, you can go and get Imogen. And it's like he's been training.
I think that maybe it's like a teamwork. They read what they know, so they don't have to ask them. They know, because then he see it and then Imogen wipe it.
Yeah, it really could be. It could be. Yeah. Or they just... He says something, doesn't he say something later about we're running out? Yeah, when Dain comes back, he says we're running out of civilians for you to practice on.
Yeah.
So they're doing something really dodgy with civilians.
Yeah.
And Dain's in on it. So again, like, Dain can redeem himself all he wants, but he's still doing that. Whatever he's doing is suspicious.
He's just following orders. That's the thing.
And just to really end the chapter on like a nice quote: violence, remember, it's only the body that's fragile. You are unbreakable.
Yeah.
Quite nice. Right, chapter 23.
Okay, chapter 23. I honestly had not that much to say about this, because obviously they started sharing secrets. Well, obviously you're going to read the epigraph.
The epigraphs are so important.
Yeah.
No?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The things that happen behind closed doors in the Riders Quadrant in order to turn young cadets into full-fledged riders are enough to turn even the staunchest of stomachs. Those prone to queasiness should not pry. Major Offender's Guide to the Riders Quadrant, unauthorized edition. I don't actually have anything to say apart from I still think it's weird that that's the unauthorized edition.
It's weird that he looks like a parent constantly and then it's unauthorized, so why is it important? So they're going to be prepared for interrogation. So they're being offered a nice drink, nice snacks. Yeah, guys, relax. Just stay there while we're preparing all the stuff to torture you. So yeah, have a cup of tea. That's
It's like the driest biscuits ever, so you're desperate for a drink.
Yeah, exactly. But fortunately this time, Violet is the one who catch it and say like, yeah, this is the same stuff they gave us before to disconnect it from our dragons and our powers. So just pretend that we're drinking. And they started sharing secrets. It was interesting to see like what is like the secrets for every single one of them. Grey Duck, I never thought that he would be like scared of snakes.
I know.
When he's flying in a dragon. There's basically a snake with legs.
Yeah.
There.
Good point.
So like, yeah, imagine just
A bit
your
bigger, though.
dragon like.
They're like 25 feet. He was only scared of little snakes. They're learning these things to protect a secret phrase. The secret phrase is, the key can be found in my desk drawer. Why do I think this is important? Why do I think that there's a key somewhere in a desk drawer that is actually going to be something like the key to finding Daddy Sorrengail's research, or there's a key somewhere like that's going to unlock some secrets? I don't know why. That's only like a made up random phrase. It could be like,
I don't know, maybe we go into, I don't know, the king's office or something to go through more secrets, more stuff.
it was something. It says, as far as secret phrases go, that one is laughably uncreative, but nevertheless, it's the one I'm quietly given as we enter the training facility. There is a key somewhere in a drawer that's going to come back in Onyx Storm. Random theory, but
Yeah, but it has to be there for something, isn't it?
she never puts anything there by accident.
No, it's not just to have the daily goal of 1,000 words. Has to be a reason.
Exactly.
I think maybe it's in this part when they start to see that something's going on, because the secret the Violet tell them is they are killing civilians. And they were like, what? We're doing what? That's something as well to see like how deeply goes this bond between riders, because they're sharing this stuff and it's just between them. And they just obviously the team they managed to survive all of this is gonna be the team they have the best possibilities to survive, because they're going to be fully trust and their mates.
Comes back to the epigraph, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why Brennan is talking about the trust that you're going to have in your colleagues is something that you're not going to have with your family or other kind of friends.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like there was a similar situation in terms of interrogation where Brennan was being interrogated or Nayland was being interrogated to get to Lilith. And Brennan was the weakness, and that is why Ten attacked Solus. I feel like something went on, and that's why there's a epigraph that says you trust your teammates, your squad mates from Brennan. I haven't fully formulated what I think. I went into it last episode, so I won't go again. But how sad is Sawyer's secret? He didn't tell his parents he had to repeat.
And the funny thing is I don't think he lied. He just basically let them believe that, because the parents were thinking that, it's normal that in the first year they don't have communication or anything.
And they would have been told if he died, wouldn't they? So
yeah. I don't think they should be embarrassed about it, because you survived, you're still alive, and then you repeat it. You should be like really proud of that. After all the thing that you went through, you're going to do it again.
Yeah,
that's determination.
Yeah. I feel like this whole thing is a bit of foreshadowing for what's going to happen later in the book when she actually has a real interrogation. But there's a cool bit where, so Grady is going to leave and he says, I'll read the reports and give you my advice before the exam. So somebody's writing, but it doesn't feel like there's a scribe in there. So there's like maybe the riders, like Nora and...
Yeah, maybe the rider, the one that take notes and they just pass it to the scribe to record it.
Yeah.
We see the Violet is the first one to put it for interrogation. And then when we start to see that she's a tough one, that she's not going to say anything. Varish is the one that comes to the scene, and he's the one who started having a party, hitting her like really hard.
We meet Nora.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say about Nora?
Sickness. Because we always saying about like true sayers and stuff, but Violet, I think, is the one who said it's just like a lie detectors.
I tried to look at this. I don't think Nora ever says she's a truth sayer. It's Violet that says she's a truth sayer. And this one says, good one. Going with the start lying immediately so they won't know when you tell the truth strategy. The man grins. Good one. But unfortunately for you, my signet is similar to Lieutenant Nora's and has to do with your bodily functions. In layman's terms, I'll know when you're lying and you're lying. So he says his is similar to hers. It's to do with bodily functions.
It's basically like a Sherlock Holmes. She just look into evidence or facts or stuff, the little details that nobody will notice.
Like extra sweat or like a lie detector.
Yeah,
she's a lie detector. I don't think she's a truth sayer. Nobody calls her a truth sayer. The only other reference we get of truth sayer, I think, is a flyer at Corden. Who says, I'll know when you're lying, why are you here, what are your intentions? And she says, I've come to show Takaris my wielding. Brennan says, I've come to negotiate a luminary. Mira says something ridiculous like, make one wrong move and I will kill you. And he's like, fair enough, she's telling the truth. And
yeah.
But yeah, I think we're being trolled. I don't think Nora's a truth sayer.
No, definitely something else.
Because they're not that dangerous.
Lie detector, basically.
A lie detector is dangerous because the thing is, it says a truth sayer is the most dangerous thing, more dangerous than an intrinsic. She must be like, what is Nora and this guy feeling when they're around Markham? He's constantly lying. They must be like, well, he's lying.
Yes, he's lying. They can't get any information. They can't get anything. So
well, they
only know they're lying. But what is the truth?
Well, I think they must be brought into the fold. I think they must be brought into it and like carefully managed. Yeah. That's why Nora and him are in the interrogation. I think they've They've got to get the truth sayers on side because they know everyone's lying. It is a weird thing.
Yeah, so in the end, when Varys he started to see that nothing that he was doing is working with Violet, then the grand finale of this chapter comes, and then when he calls his, what are we going to say, his a student star, is Thanatos.
Yeah.
And then it's when Violet's like, oh shit, again.
Yeah. I just had a question about why they don't use their signets before they do. They haven't had the blocking thing. So why don't they use their signets before?
I think it's because they had to go through all the process for the torture, because that's part of the exercise. So they had to go through all of that. How long they're going to stay there depend on them. So I think as long they're going through like the basis thing, because that's what they do, they stay there a couple of hours, and then when they had a chance to escape, they take it. But they can't just like from the first minute, they just boom, line in the door or
in a real life situation, you would do that. So I don't think they would. I don't know why they don't do it. Sawyer could just take all those chains off immediately.
Yeah,
she could summon. Ree can summon things.
Dangers as well. She can do that, isn't it? The dangers of the door. She can just call it and then come to the hand, so the door will fall off.
Could she?
I think, why not? It's something small.
Oh, she'd have to like unscrew them.
Because she did that the first time with the book, so she just summoned the book.
Yeah, but the book's not screwed into the wall.
No, but it will be like teletransported.
Yeah, the book would be, but I did like
the hinges with the screws and everything.
Oh, no. You'd have to like unscrew it first. You can't just like summon a house.
No,
It's fixed to the ground.
we're not talking about the size. We're talking about something small, parts of the door.
It's fixed to the ground. You can't.
No,
surely you can't. Like I couldn't summon that TV off the wall over there because it's screwed to the wall.
You're talking about size again, because Rick can just summon a small thing like a book.
Yeah, but that.
But the only inches, they're small.
Yeah, but they're screwed in. But you just made the whole thing. No, you're wrong. Basically. This is the question I'm going to ask Rebecca Yarros. Can Ree summon things that are screwed into a wall?
I don't see why not.
I don't see why.
In the end, it's like moving it, isn't it? So it's like magically
taken. You'd have to like unscrew.
Why? It will summon like just.
But the door frame wouldn't the door frame come then?
No, because she's summoned the inches. She's focused on the inches, not on the door.
No. You're bonkers.
We'll see later on. Maybe an Onyx Storm.
I don't think we'll see because that's absolutely ridiculous. Right. Varys rubs his thumb across his chin. Doesn't somebody usually give up a personal detail by now? That's my impression of Varys. Mm-hmm. What the fuck? Why are people giving up personal details? Like, why have we got all these weak riders that just... Why?
I guess they had like a standards about like how many people, how much they can take for how long. And I guess for average, by that time, they should...
At least one person.
At least one, yes. But no, all the thing is stay strong. Okay. Chapter 24?
I think so.
Do you want to read the epigraph?
Yeah, just Dain. Just having a bit of a groan about Dain. Although he does the right thing here. Mm-hmm. Every few years, a squad comes along that defies all expectations. They rise through the ranks, secure every patch, win every challenge, and then they inexplicably falter, then fall. They call it the burnout effect. They flare too fast, too bright to sustain the pace. Sad, really, but mildly entertaining to watch them turn on one another. Major Offender's back with his Guide to the Rider's Quadrant, unauthorized edition. Mm-hmm. That's like 2 in these chapters this week that he's been quoted, or she. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why I keep assuming.
Yes, mm-hmm.
Every few years, a squad comes along that defies all expectations. They rise through the ranks, secure every patch, win every challenge. How's this happened before? I don't know why I've got a suspicious feeling that's something to do with Brennan's squad in here. He was one of those that all of a sudden fell.
Yeah.
But it's weird, isn't it? Because they don't fall. They make it out. So this epigraph is there and it makes you think that they're going to fail, but they don't.
I guess it's just to reference about how strong they are. They are the strongest thing, all the riders, because normally you're expecting at least one or not all the team, they're going to go that way. So, yeah, I think it's just to say, first make you think that they're going to fail, and then later on to show, how strong they are.
Yeah.
Varys is trying to convince Dain to use his signet against Violet, and it's in this occasion when the other guys, they finally found out that Dain can read memories, and they started freaking out as well. Shit, he can do that? And Violet is the most scared of all of them, and she even tells to Xaden that Dain is here, that I can't do anything, he is here. And Xaden is the one on my way, or I'm coming.
Do you think it's weird that Dain just totally casually told her that he can read memories? In the first book, he just totally casually told her, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think it's just because obviously he was they were best friends. So
it's classified signet. He's a stickler for the rules.
Yeah.
Why did you
maybe it's just because he wanted to show off, because he made it the first year, he was a squad leader. I don't know if maybe he was after her all these years, maybe she wasn't the one who wasn't interested, because I think there's a moment when she is the one who started to see him differently at the beginning. So maybe in the beginning, before all the riders, it was him. Yeah, and then he was I'm the squad leader.
Yeah, but still, I can't wait. He's such a stickler for the rules. It feels weird that he just let that slip to her a while ago.
Yeah.
He asks what he's doing there, and Varys said he's testing a theory. What theory do you think he's testing?
I don't know, because I don't get it. I guess that he's trying to figure out if maybe Violet is what he thinks is Xaden's weakness. And then what he's trying to do is call Xaden's attention. Yeah,
it could. So I think it's three. It could be three things, and maybe again, listeners can correct us. Testing a theory could be he's testing whether bond blocking elixir works. Or he could think she's taken it, so he suspects that she's not taking it, and he's testing that. That's basic one, though. I don't think it's that. Could be testing whether Violet can communicate with Xaden, because he might have a suspicion that because they're bonded, they can actually communicate.
Yes.
I've got a note here on my Kindle that said, is he testing Dain's weakness? Could be testing that whether
Dain.
He could be pushing Dain. Yeah, I get Horcrux vibes when there's a Harry Potter reference, but later when Dain comes and he actually does read her memories, and it's the real interrogation situation. He's she never chose you, and he's winding him up, it's cranking him up. So I wonder whether he's testing that. He's testing whether Violet is Xaden, whether Xaden will come, and I'd put nope. He's testing the bond. Because that's what Violet thinks. She says, I think he's testing the bond-blocking mixture.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he is. I think he's testing whether Violet and Xaden can communicate.
Yeah. Because for me, there was two options. He wants basically find out if she can communicate with Xaden directly, or if Violet knows something that's really important for Xaden. Xaden will do anything to go back and rescue her, and that will put him in a bad situation, like a traitor. So maybe that's what he's trying to do as well, provocate Xaden to do something wrong, so he can lose all the protection from the riders.
Yeah, she's you can't come, whipping shadows around. I always like to see Xaden whipping shadows around. I do agree with her at the moment.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. There's a point that he is the one who said that I'm just trying a theory, and that's how Violet found out. Oh, don't come because he's waiting for you. Nothing happened at the moment. Xaden said okay. She said you need to trust me, even when she knows that she's a bad liar, and she had this lie finder. That's how she called the woman in the room. But as you say, Dain did the honorable thing. He refused because she wasn't in conditions.
Yeah. He refused to do it. I'm not doing this. And then Varish, I imagine he gets really pissed off at this point, and he's like, then who are you going to practice on to extend your ability past recent events? So we know that he's trying to teach him to go beyond recent events.
Yeah.
There was like quite a few times where I felt like Dain didn't have to touch people's faces. So there was, I thought there was two ways his signet could strengthen. One is he could go past recent events, and two, he could do it without touching somebody. This is where he says, we're running out of civilians around here for Nolan to mend. And if you think she hasn't told the rest of her squad your little secret, you're giving her far too much credit. Nolan is not just busy mending Jack's soul. Nolan is busy mending all these civilians that Dain is reading their memory.
Why are you going to mend them?
He's breaking their brains. He's breaking their minds.
The thing there's like
pushing him too far. We're running out of civilians around here for Nolan to mend. And if you think she hasn't told the rest of us, God, that bit's not important. But then who are you going to practice on? Yeah. He's extending his abilities, like pushing them and pushing them and pushing them. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So they're probably losing their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he's mending them.
That's interesting. But yeah, logical as well.
What a bad man. And Dain's doing that and not even questioning it.
Yeah, he just follow orders when it's convenient, I guess. Because right now he's just practicing his power.
And she wonders what the plans are for Dain's signet. This is what your signet is made for. You're the first line of defense, Atos. She could be a Poromish spy or a Griffin rider. You could save the entire kingdom just by plucking her secrets from her memory. You can see what really happened that day when the two Mark 1s were killed by, he cocks his head to the side, Griffins, wasn't it? Correct, Cadet Sorengel. The truth is waiting, Wing Leader Atos, and you're the only one who can see it.
But he knows, obviously. There was Venom and Wyvern, the one who killed
he
the
knows.
cadets.
He was involved, but why does he want Dain to know?
Obviously, he's just tempting him. Like, you can find out what happened there, why she's not talking to you anymore, why they die. But it's not like risky as well if he actually do it, if he actually see it.
No, because they trust Dain so much.
Because it's an Atos, I guess.
Yeah, they trust him. They will bring him into the fold. He's a wing leader.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's only a wing leader in college, isn't he? Riddick's scared, though. Holy shit, he can what? And that's because it's a type of intrinsic and they're letting him live. He can read minds. He can read memories. It's a type of intrinsic.
Yeah.
And that's why Riddick is like, holy shit, he can what? Because they're like, they would never have thought that type of intrinsic would be allowed to live.
I think that's because as well they seen Dain's badger for such a long time since year one when he was year one for Dain when he was a squad leader. They never knew what it was, and then suddenly like, oh my gosh, he has actually had this massive power. Because it's really good when it's for interrogation. In battle, useless. But when you're in that kind of situation that you are like strained to a chair or something, and he can just see whatever you're done before.
Do you think Riddick's just like, shit, we've lost this because he can search for the passphrase, the keys in the drawer?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think he specifically hiding something.
Yeah. But Varish goes like proper Umbridge, not Umbridge, like Horcrux vibes. You could learn what she sees in him, Varish whispers, getting closer to Dain, why she chose him over you. Don't you want to know? All the answers are right there. You just have to know where to reach. And this is like when Ron, spoiler alert for Harry Potter, when Ron smashes the Horcrux, the necklace, and it's like, who would fancy you when there's Harry Potter around? But that is for sure Varish knowing that Violet and Xaden or the jealousy is one of Dain's weaknesses. And like, holy shit. Yeah, fine. He's tiny. He's like young and impressionable, but has he not got a bigger weakness than his jealousy over Xaden? Because that's what it is. It's why she chose him. He's pushing him. It's cranking him up.
Yeah, definitely.
He walks out.
Yeah.
Was he punished, do you think, for that? Do you think Varish later punished him?
No, because Varish is the one that said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said like something bad against him, that little like a rule follower. So he know Dain is doing the right thing, and that's why he is so cross, because he wanted for him to bend the rules so he can get what Varish is looking for. But he had nothing against Dain. And even he said, well, that was a little bit anticlimactic, isn't it?
Well, that was disappointing and anticlimactic.
Yes.
Fucking rule follower.
There you go, fucking rule follower. But then he just doesn't take anymore. He punched really hard Violet in the shoulder, and she gets unconscious.
And then Nolan comes to fix her.
Yes, and Nolan is the one who helped her to escape as well.
Yeah, and then Sawyer is asking Nolan, is this normal? And Nolan is saying no. So this is like, this for me, I'm trying to work out where the tipping point is between Nolan helping Violet and then Nolan not helping Violet.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the point where he still he's not sure about Varish. So he must get some pretty solid evidence between now and the next that Violet is smuggling out weapons or something.
It's when she saw the book, you know, because I don't know how they found out that Violet went through the King's library.
Oh no, she had the bag. Yeah. She has the white bag still. Yeah, you're right. It's that.
So definitely that was like a reason for her to think that she was a traitor.
Yeah, and he's saying, is it really worth it? Mm-hmm. Just give him what you know. And she's like, it is.
But then he helps, and then there's now finally when they start to using the signal to escape. So it's when Ree says, Sawyer, come on, do your thing.
Yeah, but not before. Like, Nolan tries to distract Varish, doesn't he? By saying, I've been thinking about my other patient. At this point, the first read through, you don't know that's Jack.
Yes.
Although I think you were really suspicious. You thought it was Jack, didn't you?
Oh, yes, from day one.
Yeah. He spent the night in the infirmary again. Sorengale will have to sleep off the mending for another hour or so. Why don't you walk back with me and see if your particular skills could be of use? I might be overlooking something. There's two things there. Like, he spent the night in the infirmary again. Does that mean he's not always spending the night in the infirmary? Where is he?
That's what I mean there. I think maybe there's point where maybe he restores Jack soul or whatever, but he then goes back to
But he's not released him back into class.
No, because he's like test maybe. Yeah, so maybe it's not in infirmary, but it's not allowed to go to the other cadets.
He's gone to like this assassin class, secret assassin classes that Dain Atos and Varish. Dain's dad.
Colonel Atos.
We're absolutely sure, aren't we, that we know Dain's dad's signet. He's a mind controller. Like
could be.
The demon headmaster. That's probably a very British thing. A flashback. It's a kids' show where the demon headmaster can like hypnotise people. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was on at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon for kids. Terrifying. Yeah, they escape. Finally, Ree doesn't pull the hinges off the door because they're screwed in.
That's what you say. I don't see it that way.
I love the fact that they say we'd be kick-ass thieves, which is like foreshadowing for the fact that they're about to steal a book from the archives.
Yes.
It's nice.
But the other thing that I think you need to mention here is when we start to see finally one of the runes the Violet is wearing. We know now the purpose. One of the runes of the dagger is the one who opens the door. And for me, like, so what the other ones will do? They will find out like every single one of them.
How many does she have?
She had a few, because when she was getting from Xaden, how many was in total? At least 6 or something like that, I think. Probably more.
So this is so cool. I've not thought about this now until now, so I'm thinking out loud. Mm-hmm. So let's say she's got 6.
Yeah.
We know one of them protects her from cats. Mind like emotion wielder. We know one of them unlocks doors, but only if there's a need.
Yeah.
Can we think of 4 other reasons that maybe she's already got?
That she's been already protected and we haven't maybe
and we don't know,
spotted
like
yet.
Imogen. wiping memories. He might have made her one because I don't know, he might have done.
Control Resident Imogen's power, so she can keep the memories.
Maybe.
Memory protection.
Mm.
Because, nobody mentions Imogen Signet at the beginning, but the one who says Imogen can wipe memories. Like,
how did she know that?
How did she know that? Or who told you? And then Imogen like, yeah, and really fast.
Oh, and really fast.
So like, well, she shouldn't say that.
There's something weird about that. But she must know because she's committed it to knowledge. There's a difference between a memory and knowledge, isn't there? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't remember learning speed equals distance over time, but I know it because it's my knowledge. I don't remember sitting in the class learning it. Yeah. So there's a difference. You could wipe my memory of learning that, but you couldn't ever wipe it from my knowledge, could you? Is it different?
Yeah, it's like speak as well. You can maybe lose your memory or stuff, but that's like something that is like really basic in some part of your brain that you can't keep. So I think that's knowledge.
Yeah. It would be terrifying if you could wipe knowledge. Although Markham would put you to some good use, I think. She's using her daggers on the mat with Dain. And she basically wins. Do you think there's something there that if she's got the daggers, she'll be stronger than him or something like that?
Maybe something to make sure that she will never fail the target. When she was having this little thing with Mira, they were like really good. But Mira is really good. I think maybe Mira would be better than Violet in this.
Violet's good. Anyway, we should be on the lookout for any time the daggers are being used from now on. Well, there was a lot there, wasn't there? We made it.
So that was chapter 24. Now we had to wait till next week to see what else is going to happen. Well, we know what's going to happen. Just deep dive. And maybe we can find more things that supporting maybe this with the daggers, with the runes.
Well,
with this battle that we don't know.
As a bit of a teaser for next week, people can read ahead, obviously, because we give people permission. Because you need it. Pan check. The epigraph for the next chapter makes me super suspicious of Panchak. Vice Commandant.
Yes.
Vice Commandant or Commandant? Commandant. Panchak. He's a lieutenant in the next week's epigraph. But read the epigraph for chapter 25 in advance of the next podcast and tell me Panchak isn't suspicious.
Yes, he's definitely one of those bad guys. I don't know how close is with Colonel Athos, but he's not a good one.
We're going to have a lot to say about this next week. Anyway.
Yes.
So, if you've made it to the end, well done. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy.
Husband and wife podcast talking all things Iron Flame.
If you're not already, which we suspect you found us on Instagram or TikTok and came to listen to the podcast. If you're not already, please come and chat to us at Faithfully Fantasy Pod on Instagram, which is turning into such a great community. I love it when I can see people chatting theories in our comments. I get involved. I try to reply to every comment. I know that I fail sometimes, particularly when reels get hundreds of comments, but I love it. And actually today I committed to setting up an Onyx Storm support group for any of our followers that want to be in the chat when Onyx Storm comes out. It's going to be spoiler central, but we're going to need to support each other afterwards. So yeah, it's becoming that. It's becoming a really great place. So massive thank you if you're following us and engaging with us on Instagram, because that is exactly why we set this up. We wanted to find more people who love the series as much as we do, just to chat theories, support how much we love Xaden Riorson.
If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe for more deep dives on this world of Iron Flame. Also, we have our website, that's faithfullyfantasy.com, where we have every single episode of Faithfully Fantasy. You have more stuff about us, and we hope you enjoy today's episode.
If you did, give it a like, give it a comment, give us a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of the Audible, wherever you're listening to this podcast. That's enough from us. I think that's a lot of spiel at the end. Yes. So thanks again, and we can't wait to dive deep into chapters 25 to 29 next week.
Yes, we're coming back next Tuesday with more Faithfully Fantasy.